and we're good to go.
Let's go ahead, Rashonda, maybe start without sharing just so we can do our introductions really quick. And look good
Okay,
on
so
YouTube.
no share.
Just for the first 2 minutes while we welcome everyone.
Okay, it did it stop?
Yep, we're all set.
Great.
Okay, we'll wait a few minutes for everyone to come in. We're at about it's like 78 attendees. So welcome everyone. Looks like folks are joining. We got 80. We'll just count to 30 and then we'll do some introductions here. Let everyone join the room. Okay. I think Prashanda, whenever you're ready, we'll start the show.
Good morning. Is everybody able to see my screen? Have some thumbs up just to make sure we're on the same page. Audio
Yeah,
sounds good. All
looks
right.
good. Sounds great.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant. Today, we will be discussing the RFP for the fiscal year 26 CDBG funding cycle, the non-housing funding cycle. We'll go over the timeline, the process, eligible applicants and uses, and consider this our public hearing. Today's August 1st. We thank you for joining us. And I did want to point out one thing is questions. You can feel free to put in the chat and we will tackle those toward the end of the presentation. I'm Rashonda Alexander. I serve as Director of Compliance for the Community Development Administration. And on with me are my partners in crime, are in compliance and teamwork, Tom Nagel and Kevin Ellison, who will introduce themselves.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kevin Ellison. I'm with the Community Development Administration. Excited for everybody to get this information as we move forward in providing these much needed funds.
Hi, everyone. Tom Nagel here. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Community Development Administration. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for everyone who is subscribing to our CDA e-newsletter. And if you want to get all the great news and updates from CDA, just go to the city's website /CDA and subscribe right there on our homepage, and copy and paste your coworkers' emails and subscribe them as well. Thank you very much for joining.
Okay, so CDA has a mission to empower, develop, and transform the city of St. Louis. We are the clearinghouse of federal, state, and local funds for the city of St. Louis. And we deploy funds to support a wide range of public and private entities, social services, building affordable housing, and then activating vacant properties to just empower communities throughout the city. We were founded in 1974 to administer housing and community development funds. And that's what we're talking about today, funded through HUD, the Community Development Block Grant Program. Kevin on the call made this great funding chart. In the center, you'll see CDA, and above you will see the federal government and entities that fund us so that we're able to deploy those to our wonderful sub-recipients who receive funding ranging from our municipal agencies that you see listed here and our non-municipal partners that we all appreciate, because without you all, we would not be able to do the work that is so impactful for our community. CDA has three main divisions: our fiscal, compliance, and construction divisions that work in collaboration and tandem with one another to deploy funds to the community, make sure that we are in compliant with our federal entities, local entities, and state entities, and then our construction and housing team of engineers and analysts that help with home repair and housing production. Our agenda today, we're going to talk about the timeline. We actually did that previously here listed. We posted it on July 3rd. And now we are at our virtual overview. The RFP is live. You can find it as of 12:01 a.m. this morning. It is available for you to go to our website and download. So please do so as soon as possible. Giving you a minute just to review the timeline, but know that you can find this recording and all this information on CDA's website. The next slide is going to just highlight some key dates. So I won't go through, well, we removed it. So let me just go through all of these. We posted the timeline in July. We are doing our RFP now. We are going to talk about the process and eligible uses and eligible applicants. Then we'll have a capacity building training. I encourage new entities to attend this so you could get an idea of best practices and financial management and just how to navigate this process. That's going to be on August the 15th at 11 a.m. It will be virtual, so invite all of anyone that you think may be able to use this information. Another key date is that the proposals are due on September 5th. After that time, we will review and rate and weight proposals for CDBG funding and home funding. And then we will post those funding recommendations on the CDA website on October the 13th. We fast forward a month, it's reviewed and read through our local legislative process with our Board of Aldermen. They approve it, and then we submit our action plan to HUD no later than November 15th of this year. So that gives you the full life cycle. This is basically the full life cycle of this process every year. Proposals due on September the 5th. Reviewed again the month of September and October. We have our automatic meetings. And the final presentation is due to HUD on November the 14th. Okay, I know it feels like we keep like drilling these dates and times over and over and over. And the reason why is because now that the process has started, we can't really talk to you about it. So you can't call us to get information. You can't email us to ask about it. We are now in a period of not being able to weigh in as much in this format. You can always send questions in to CDBG at stlouis-mo.gov, and that's also in the RFP, but we're not able to interface in this way. So we're just giving you the dates well in advance so you're able to know what to expect. Getting right into it. Who can apply? So if you're a nonprofit, you. If you're a small business, you can. And if you're a municipal entity, of course you can. These are eligible applicants. We encourage you now to go to sam.gov if you do not already have one. And the reason why it's so important is it takes 7 to 10 days on average, but we are not in average times. And it's been taking 2 to 8 weeks to get this, especially if you have to have manual entry for whatever reason. So if you do not possess a UEI number with SAM.gov, get started today. Applicants must meet a national objective, and that is three parts. You will help a low to moderate income person. You will help to eliminate slums and blight, or you will help an urgent need. And in this case, we're going to talk about tornado recovery. You must also meet a funding priority. Those funding priorities are set through and by HUD that we administer. You must be current with IRS Form 990 filings. You must have completed all your federal audits. That's if applicable. It used to be a $750,000 single audit requirement, which is now increased to $1 million. If that applies to you, you need to have completed any audit. You may not be delinquent on federal, state, or local taxes. You may not have any unresolved or open HUD audit or monitoring findings. You also may not have any outstanding payments or debts owed to CDA or past due audit findings with CDA. You must be in good standing with the city of St. Louis and our state of Missouri. We find this to be a common issue at times when we administer or we apply for your CBI clearance. And sometimes we encounter that our entities don't have a business license or have past due taxes. So take a look at that now just to make sure that that won't interrupt your funding. The proposed activity that you want to apply for must be in the city of St. Louis. You must not be on any excluded parties list or debarred. And for those applicants interested in applying for public facilities or public improvements or infrastructure, you're going to have to complete a pro forma, which is listed on our website as an attachment, adhere to BABA, Davis-Bacon, and Section 3, which are federal requirements. And then lastly, if you're a small business owner interested in the facade improvement program, you also must adhere to Davis-Bacon and other related federal requirements. When we talked in the previous slide about the three national objectives, they're listed here again: benefiting an LMI person, elimination of slums and blight, and urgent need. And then also with home funds, they may only be used to provide housing to benefit persons of low and moderate income. Our eligible activities are in four parts. We're going to talk about economic development, public facilities and improvements, housing, and then also tornado recovery. So if you decide you wanted to apply in the economic development category, these are some activities that you should look into framing in your application. Micro enterprise or incubator assistance program. This is where you can provide technical assistance to small businesses or support services. You can do business development, and that's providing financial incentives to businesses to help create or retain jobs for our particular population of low to moderate income people. Commercial facade improvements. We have a special program that we piloted with CDA, and that also falls under this category of economic development. You can apply for business attraction and financial assistance specific to food and health access. We have a lot of food deserts within our community, and this is where you can apply to provide financial incentives and assistance to those businesses and help address food and healthcare access. In housing, activities that are eligible are healthy home repair and construction management, a home buyer assistance program, and our energy efficiency, weatherization, and accessibility programs. These are all areas that we currently administer and we know there's a high demand and need for. Should you have a building or public facility that needs improvements, you can apply for street and sidewalk improvements. We normally have a restriction. I want to make this caveat. We have a streets division. So you will need to have complete coordination should you choose to apply in this category beyond CDA. All right. In our public services category, it's important to note that when we receive money from HUD, we have a 19% public services cap, which means if we have an allocation of $1 million, 19% of that, help me with the math, let's see, so that would be 100,000, so $190,000 of it can be used for public services. That's it. The rest of the money has to be used for something else. We have that. This category is oversubscribed because a lot of people want to help with crime prevention and childcare and the elderly and fair housing, food access, job training, and all of these other things that are listed. And so it's such a competitive application that we are only able to fund so many nonprofits and entities under this category. But these are all of the activities in which you can apply. More landlord training assistance programs, neighborhood and cleanup and beautification, reentry services, and then resident and leadership training. In our RFP, you'll find some high priorities, and this year they are tornado recovery, which will fall under the urgent need category of HUD's requirements, but it is across any category. So let's say you wanted to do tornado recovery for LMI, great. You can also do it for to eliminate slum and blight through neighborhood cleanups. We also have high priorities for economic development and for our youth and for housing. Just going to go back one more time because I went through this because Q&A is a hot topic. It's our next slide. Their hands already raised, and we want to get to those questions so that we have the most compelling proposals ever. All right, so any questions? Or what are your questions? I'll go into the chat and see what we can find.
Great. Shonda, let's go ahead and take the slide deck down so everyone can see everyone. We already have some Q&As ready to go. I'm going to start in the question and answer box. You can also just plug away in the chat. And then if you want to raise your hand, we'll just bring you in live and we'll just kind of go back and forth. But we'll start at the top in the Q&A. So for a capital improvement project, how long from award do we have before we need to break ground? Can a longer term project be supported with grants over consecutive years? So I think
That's
that's
a great
two.
question. Yeah, questions. And thank you, Jeremy, for raising this because we have what's called a choice limiting action. So if you have a construction project and you receive an award, you have to stop any activity at all. You cannot do anything that involves ground disturbance. And it becomes a challenge for some capital improvement projects because of the environmental review requirement. So your question, how long from award do we have before we need to break ground? It's depends on how long it takes for the environmental review process to be complete and actually what it entails, what the site specific details are. There could be USTs, which are underground storage tanks, where you want to have this improvement that may need further remediation and calls for an environmental assessment, which is a very long process. So it just really depends on your particular project. I want to try to give you a time frame because that answer is not so helpful. But in all honesty, it will depend on your capital improvement project. The most important is knowing that if you do receive funding for a project, all activity has to stop until we go through the environmental review process. Can a longer term project be supported with grants over consecutive years? So if you were to receive an award for this year, and your project is not able to break ground until next year, you still have that funding allocation. You then will work with our housing and construction side. You'll work with a housing analyst, and then they'll walk you through that process. But our HUD award for you will be supported over consecutive years. Someone
Great.
says, could we receive a copy of the slides and our reporting? Absolutely. They are going to be posted on the website.
Yes, and because that is a very popular question now that we've concluded the uh, slide deck, I am uploading this to the website now so I can post it in the chat and you can view the PDF on our website. So if you just go to the city's website, stlewis-mo.gov, and then put /CDA, right there on the homepage at the top of CDA's page, you'll find a link to the main landing page for the 2026 CDBG RFP. So that is where I'm behind the scenes here posting the PDF of this slide deck, and you'll find links to YouTube recordings of these trainings and meetings, and you'll find other documents that you may or may not need or must need to complete your application. And you will find the link to the Salesforce application portal on that webpage. So I will put that in the chat now. Rashonda, that was a really good question. Do you want to talk about choice limiting action one more time, and then we'll dive back into the Q&As?
Yeah, so a choice limiting action is after you receive funding, a funding reservation from CDA that it uses CDBG, any HUD funds. Any HUD funds, you have to halt activity related to construction or capital improvements, anything that has ground disturbance. If you do, and it is discovered, we will have to retract the funding reservation and the award. The environmental review process and the authority to use those grant funds is a requirement that has to be met. Beyond CDA, it's a HUD requirement.
Great. Let's just dive back into these questions. Christine asks, can agencies have conversations to make sure proposed projects fit before applying? And I imagine that's Christine asking CDA staff to have conversations about their application, but correct us if we're getting that question wrong.
No, we can't have conversations, but you can consult with the to the RFP because it is it's pretty detailed in what projects fit by our descriptions within the activity. So and you can also submit questions and we could respond to those. Questions will be posted to any answers will be posted to any questions that you have.
And then Christine has a second one, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and answer Dana's quickly, maybe at the same time. Christine asks on page 5, it says urgent need is not applicable, but the city wants to apply for tornado disaster. So I wonder if that means it doesn't have to be an urgent need, but we do have urgent needs as things you can apply for. If that is that making any sense,
I,
Christine?
I I love this question, Christine. And it's a very good question. Okay. We haven't had a tornado or any national disaster at the time of the CDBG funding cycle. Historically, urgent need is not a category of which our subrecipients and municipal agencies can apply. And so that caveat has remained because we have to receive special permission and a designation from HUD for this category in particular. So we just take it off the table during our funding cycle. Because we have a national declaration of disaster from our federal government and have received a waiver from HUD, we are able to open up this category this funding cycle. So that's the reason why it is an eligible category this year that can be tied to any other activities with public services, with housing, with economic development, but it is not a traditional category in itself. And we don't want to have tornado recovery on our list again. We hope that it's gone and past us and just something that we're incorporating this year. I hope that helps.
Great. And then Dana asked if we can share slide 16 again,
Sure.
which we can do that.
I'll do that.
Great. I've also just completed uploading this slide deck to the city's website. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat. So this is the main link to everything 2026 CDBG RFP. Okay, so here we are. We're looking at slide 16. Let's we have Renata has a hand up. Let's go ahead and take a live caller really quick, and then we'll get back and just go down this Q&A. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Can you hear us, Renata? We're going to bring you in.
Yes. Yes. Good afternoon. Well, good mid-morning,
Hi.
everyone. Quick question. I know you said that this is going to be on the website, but if there's a possibility if they could be emailed to us directly, all the attendees of the meeting.
The best way to find it is to go to the website, and I post it in the chat, or you go to stlewis-mo.gov/CDA, and you'll find a link there and the form to subscribe to our email newsletter, and that's how you can get updates emailed to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Let's keep going down this chat here. Someone asked, in public services, youth and/or homeless services, can funds be used for program operations? And then the second question is, can they be used for existing programs? And if we receive funding through HUD or COC, continuum of care, is that also eligible?
Yeah, so yes, funds can be used for program operations. And can they be used for existing programs? Yes, they can. And if you receive funding through HUD and COC, are you also eligible? Yes, and that, yeah. So this is good all the way around. Also with homeless services, you have another opportunity with ESG, which could be the reason why you're saying that you also receive funding because maybe you're getting a grant through ESG.
Great. And then Lisa asks, I want to be sure that tornado recovery can be used to support small businesses. I think that's a little nuanced. We have the facade program. Rashonda, could you please clarify?
Yes, Lisa, by way of what Tom mentioned, the commercial facade program is a way to benefit small businesses directly. I like to share often when people ask, what is CDA? It's that we fund your funders. So CDA rarely funds directly to a person, directly to a business. We fund an entity that funds direct to people. So I'm gathering from your question, you want to know, could a small business, could Rashonda and Tom's agency apply for CDBG funds for tornado recovery? And the answer is no. But Rashonda and Tom's agency can apply for our building facade.
Great. And please, folks, just if you need us to clarify, you can raise your hand and we'll bring you in, or just we'll keep plugging away at these questions. So next one, can your business be based in the county, but addressing issues in the city? So I think their address is in the county, but um, would their operations be in the city?
Yeah, so if your business is in the county, but you are supporting city residents, absolutely. You will want to identify those in your application, clarify the population, but absolutely you can.
And then similar, if we offer services for City of St. Louis youth, but the services are not delivered in St. Louis City, are we eligible? I'm picturing, is this like a day camp and he gets to go out to the woods or something, or
So if, yes, if the youth are city residents, yes.
great. This is a good question. I think we could talk about nurses. Is there a target neighborhood or area that would be given preference? I assume that would be some sort of bonus points in the rating.
As of to date, the only bonus points for a neighborhood are related to a choice um, area that is identified by boundary and surrounds the 63106 zip code. Um, we do have other proposed neighborhood revitalization strategy areas, but they have not been approved by HUD. They are listed within the RFP, however, just for your awareness, but right now it's only bonus points for the choice NERSA, neighborhood revitalization strategy area.
And then the next person asks, it sounds like they are currently funded. What if we're still waiting on our contract for last year's award?
Apply, still apply because this is a different year with um, different priorities, and we encourage our repeat operating agencies and partners to apply.
Great. And then it's kind of interesting. Can two separate entities apply for CDBG funds at the same affordable housing community One would be tornado recovery, and the other would be a public service just related to that community.
Two separate entities apply for CDBG funds.
I guess they would be in the
Yes.
same neighborhood or focus area.
Yeah, two separate entities can apply for CDBG funds. Yeah. At the same affordable housing community, yes.
Great. And this person asks, can we apply for the grant that would cover multiple years? I know this is program year 2026.
Yeah, so you would just apply for this one period, 1 year.
Grace, going through. On the news, information was given about the compassion demolition program for the May tornado. Can this be used to cover demolitions for residential or commercial buildings?
So you can apply. Demolition is an eligible use category for CDBG funds.
Okay. Pertaining to the 19% public services, is there a priority, qualitative or quantitative? Try to understand.
It's definitely quantitative. It's like 19% of our allocation is set aside for public services. We can't use a percent more. We can't use 20% of it. We have to, our cap is 19% of of our allocation is for public services.
Great. And this is a repeat question, but it's a good one to repeat. Prior to submitting the application, can assistance be provided with help to complete the application? And let's remember, if you go to that website, there's a timeline of some upcoming events too.
So the question is, yes, we have another training for this question, I think will be helpful on the 15th of August at 11 o'clock, where we talk about some best practices and financial management. And there will be a Q&A where you can ask questions.
Great. And then let's just moving along. So this person is proposing they'd like to rehab a single family home. Is there anything that prevents them from selling that house after they complete it?
Prevents, so there are restrictions that come with funding and land use restrictions and affordability period. So yeah, free money always comes with some strings attached. I would apply and then see what the determination is and go from there.
Great. And then Jane asks, can you help me understand from the timeline when applicants can expect to know if they will be receiving the grant? So maybe when we announce awards, but also it takes some contracting and some work to there's an award and then also receive the actual funding for the project. Maybe you could share on that, Rashonda.
Sure. So our funding recommendations will be posted on October 13th to the website. And so that's when you will know, like, oh, yeah, I got recommended. This is awesome. And then we will go through another review period just to make sure that you meet the eligible applicant criteria we talked about at the beginning with taxes and debarment and things like that. And if that clears, yeah, you will receive a funding reservation letter or correspondence. And then you're locked in at that point unless there's a choice limiting action or something else that would forfeit that reservation. So
Great.
the
And
short
the,
answer, sorry, short
go
answer
ahead.
is October 13th is when funding recommendations are posted.
And the best way to get that news is going to our website and subscribing to that e-newsletter. There are some hands raised. That's great. We like to do a nice live give and take. Mark wrote a good question where we can share about the new Salesforce portal. So it appears that the structure of the application is similar, the PDF, to what you're seeing inside of Salesforce, the application portal. There's also the grant management system. Rashana, do you want to share how those are similar and how this new portal will operate and hopefully help applicants?
So Mark is right. It is what you see on paper is what is in Salesforce. We have to apply in Salesforce. We are not able to take an emailed application filled out with your I was going to say typewriter, but hey, typewriters are cool. But yeah, we need you to submit an online application. And Mark, yes, it is uh, very, very similar. We want to go to his other question. You want me to read it?
Yeah, and then what is our account name? I assume that is the name of who is applying, your organization.
Right.
Let's go just mix it up and we'll try and bring Tim on. Tim, you've had your hand raised. Would you like to ask a question?
Yeah, it's just a clarifying question.
Sure.
Does the CDA, pertaining to the 19% of public service funding, does the CDA want to have fund the best programs or as many programs as possible with the 190,000?
So the first thing, thank you for the question, Tim. 190,000 was just an example. So I don't want anybody to think that we only have $190,000 for public services. It was just easy for me to do the math. If our allocation were $1 million, then 19% was 190,000. We're just capped at that 19% toward public services. We want eligible activities that HUD will reimburse. And you know if it's an eligible activity that HUD will reimburse because it's listed in the RFP. Sometimes there are amazing programs that are just not HUD eligible, and we're not able to fund those with this source because it does not meet the national objectives. I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Hey, Tom, can I go back to Mark's question because I think it may be something that's going to come up again.
Go for it.
Mark says, as grants manager, should I create a new account for myself or should someone else from my team add me to our Salesforce account? So if you already have a Salesforce account, then you want to just use that account to apply for this funding, if possible. You can also create one for yourself, but you want to make sure that you are linked to your organization. And you just do that. How do I link myself, Rashonda? Well, email us. It's support at email our Salesforce support email to make sure that you're linked up. Tom's going to weigh in.
Sure. It's on the website. If you scroll down on that main website where it says portal help, CDA grants at stlewis-mo.gov. I know a lot of folks want to call, and I enjoy when you call me. However, to keep this competitive, to keep this fair, we really want everyone to write in their tech questions And those questions go not to me, they go to our main program manager who knows how to do this tech. So portal help, it's right there on the website. Scroll down, CDA grants at stlouis-mo.gov. And as issues come up, we'll continue to update the website. This is a new system, and egrams fans out there, raise your hand if you are one. We're really excited to kind of move into the future here. Let's we have still some hands raised, so let's bring Dana in. Dana, would you like to ask a question live?
Yes, you referenced CSG grants could be coupled with the community development block grant that you're offering. What does CSG stand for?
Oh, it's E. E is an emergency solution grant. They also receive HUD fundings, but specific for the homeless population. Coupled with may not be the case, but whenever someone has a program that helps our homeless population, I always tell them about ESG, because if you're helping this most vulnerable population, I want you to know that there are other funding sources to help you do the great work that you're doing.
Super, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's bring in Christine real quick. Christine, you've had your hand raised.
Yeah, I wanted to know if your application covers two categories in the proposal, for example, like public services, but also tornado impacted area. Does that then say you want to do most of the work in the tornado area, but you'd also want to do some of the work outside the tornado area in the city? Does that give you, is that allowed? And then if it is, are you then considered for funding in two different categories?
So if it's all public service related, it would still be the one category. So even if it's in a tornado impacted area, okay, for ease of communication, this is just an example. Let's say you have a food program and you know that people impacted by the tornado really need more of your help for your food program, but you don't want to abandon the other part of the city. And so you're going to really focus on tornado area, but you're still going to focus on your other area with your food program. You could do that. And
Bingo, that was it. Thank you.
oh, okay. Listen, I'm psychic, Kristen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Let's bring Renata in, and then we'll just start going diving into that Q&A, just going down this list. Renata,
Yes, I'm here.
you have another question?
Yes, thank you for taking my question. Okay, so we have a partnership with a church that was heavily damaged in the tornado. Now they have set up shop at another location. Can we use that funding or apply that funding to their new location and another partnership that's within that region or that zone?
Renata, you might have to tell us a little bit more about the operations of that church.
Okay, so we have a partnership with Centennial Christian Church, but as you know that church was demolished from the tornado, and so they have set up shop at another location, and we provide tutoring and summer camp services to the students within that area. We also started a partnership with another local church, St. Paul AME Church, which is like off Hamilton and Page in the city. So I wanted to know if we can use that funding that we're applying for those two programs separately. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm sorry.
I'm getting it, Renata. I'm thinking your program is doing great work for youth, and the one site where you were having it, it was destroyed. And
Yeah.
so you had to find some other locations to do this work. So
Right.
when you apply talk about your program, right? And why it's an eligible activity for HUD funding, and then tell us where the site locations are.
Yes, ma'am.
And if your program is eligible and your site is within the city, it seems like you're ticking boxes to me. However, we would need to see your entire application. But it sounds like you have an eligible activity in one of our high priorities with youth.
Okay, thank you so very much. That's all my questions, I promise.
If you
Okay,
have
thank
more,
you.
bring them on. We went through the presentation in a succinct way so that we will have more time for the Q&A.
Thank you so much.
Bars. Okay.
Great. Let's just we're just gonna dive through this Q&A and keep going down the list. Everyone's been very patient. Thank you. So Earl asks, if all tax returns have been filed, but there are balances owed, will a payment arrangement be sufficient to continue the grant application process, or must taxes be paid in full? It sounds like maybe a business has a payment plan with a collector of revenue, which can be common.
Yeah, I'm with this particular question, Earl, I don't know if we can answer in a way that's direct. I would share that the entity receiving funding must pass our CBI clearance. Taxes are involved at the local level. So if you don't pass, you can't receive funding. If you're talking about federal taxes, yeah. So this would have to be on a case basis. But CBI clearance with the city, taxes are involved and they will need to be paid.
Yeah, and if we can't answer any questions here, in that RFP document, there's instructions for submitting questions to cdbg@stlewis-mo.gov. So we will publish for fairness all the questions and all the answers together once a week. So we're just diving in. Melanie has a pretty long question. Rashana, I don't know, do you want me to read this or do you want to
Yeah, I can try
tackle
it.
It's pretty
Okay, would for-profits be eligible to apply for economic development micro assistance technical assistance program? No, nope. No, for-profits are only eligible to receive CDBG funding as it relates to commercial facade. So sorry about that. HUD allows for-profits to be sub-recipients of CDBG funding for microproject assistance, specifically for the Boost program. It's a special economic development microenterprise and falls under Matrix Code 18C. Melanie, love you. You know your stuff. It is my understanding that we are not able to do that. While Upwards is a for-profit social enterprise, our Boost program is free for childcare providers and families and not revenue generating. So your program is for profit, doing great work. It is my understanding that for profits are only eligible with our programs related to the facade improvement program. I'm happy to, I'm going to actually copy your question and I'll take it up to our HUD reps and ask them specifically, because you've been very detailed here, and see what it is. And when we're able to post questions that Tom mentioned onto our website, look for a response if we get it. Just keep in mind, tornado recovery is at the top of everybody's mind in HUD with the city. And so a lot of our other questions that aren't related to this direct urgent need are kind of pushed down. But I'll do my best to get you a response on that.
great detail. Just moving along, can an organization apply across for multiple categories or be named in multiple applications So if they were a partner with someone or they do different types of work, and different types of things.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you can apply across multiple categories.
Melanie is looking at slide 16. I think we talked about Boost. Okay, great. Anonymous asks, is there an RFP that will come out for providing training for landlords and residents? I'm not aware of anything, but I know there is some great training out there for
Yeah.
landlords.
We fund an entity that has great landlord training. So it definitely exists, but by way of one of our subrecipients that submitted an application just to do this work, and then they receive funding from CDA for landlord and resident training. But no,
Great.
there is not going to be a specific RFP for that, and according to what I have received from our leadership.
Great. Tim asks, is there a list of previously funded organizations for the letter of recommendation? I'm not sure if we need a recommendation letter from funded organizations, but I will say that if you go to CDA's website and click news, scroll on down, and you will be able to see last year's announcements of funded organizations that might guide you as you work on your application um, on looking at previous awardees. Also on that main webpage, like put in the chat, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, because this is a common question, people want to know who else has been funded. All the way at the bottom of that webpage, I've added a news section where we have the 2024 news of those awardees, so you can get a sense of who has applied and been successful in the past. The next question, just moving down, two clarifying questions. Can new organizations apply? Yes. Did I read that the nonprofit board should be predominantly LMI, low to moderate income? That might be a nuance with a Cubdo, Rashonda, that you could clarify. Did I read?
That the nonprofit board should be predominantly LMI. I don't know where this is. Can you, anonymous attendee, be a little bit more specific? We do want to make sure that the LMI population has a voice, right? And is served with this funding source. And yeah, that's what I have for that one.
Okay. A few people have asked for that link again, so I've put it in the chat. Okay, Tiffany, one organization can apply for multiple funding activities, correct? And is the 1M audit requirement per activity you are funded or for the total of combined funded activities? So is it one audit per activity or one audit per, I guess, organization doing multiple things?
So your organization, if you receive over $1 million well, 750 at the time, so 750 or $1 million, the federal government, according to CFR 200, requires it. So you would have known and received that information from your fiscal or division or your accountant, but it's for your organization, based on, yeah.
Great. I think we might be covering some things. Uh, might be old, Christina asked, can your application cover two categories in one proposal, like public services, but 50% is based in tornado impacted areas? I think we did that one live, but it's a frequent question.
Yeah, so the application can cover two categories and um, include a tornado impacted area.
Great. Deborah asks, um, can commercial apply? I guess can businesses apply? I think the answer is only for facade.
Correct.
Great.
Commercial businesses are eligible to receive commercial facade improvement um, awards.
Great. And then Rebecca says she's not seen tornado recovery listed in the RFP. Maybe do we need to look
Because
into
it's
that?
not, so tornado recovery is not specific to CDBG or HUD at all. This is something that our mayor, our executive leadership, and our community needs right now is tornado recovery because we were severely devastated by it. So you won't find it outlined or explicitly stated in HUD because HUD only has three tenants responding to, benefiting the low, moderate income persons, responding to the elimination of slums and blight, and meeting an urgent need. Because we know that the tornado recovery is an urgent need, we petitioned to HUD to receive a waiver for our tornado recovery. So when you see or hear tornado recovery, for all intents and purposes, just equate it to urgent need because that is the CDBG HUD eligible activity that tornado recovery is falling under is urgent need. But tornado recovery in itself can also apply to the LMI population, right? And tornado recovery can also apply to eliminating slums and blight, considering the tornado created a lot of slums and blight. I hope that helps, Rebecca.
Great. And then the just going down the list, can nonprofits apply for the commercial facade program?
Yes, if you have a commercial business.
Great. And then there's two questions about the August 15th training. Uh, coming soon, that Zoom link will be on the city's website. A link is coming soon. The best way to know when registration opens is going to CDA's website and subscribing to our e-newsletter. And you will get that Zoom link. It will be virtual. There'll be plenty of room for everyone online. Okay, this is a good question, just going down the list. I think we're making progress. Are these grants, are they funds given upfront or are they reimbursed to the organizations?
They are reimbursed. And I'm so happy this question came up. Please be prepared to float your organization because the reimbursements are slower with federal money, upwards of 2, 3, 4, 5, or even 6 months before you can be reimbursed. So we encourage you to have other funding sources that you use to meet payroll, take care of monthly things and responsibilities because the reimbursement process can be slower.
Great. And then Earl asks, just to be clear, the CDBG program is designed for, oh, just went away. Next person asks, can you help us understand how food pantries fit into public service?
Well, a food pantry is usually open to the public and help benefit a vulnerable population. If your food pantry specifically serves low to moderate income people, it would be a CDBG eligible activity.
Great. And the next person asks, can or should they submit letters of support from elected officials as part of the application?
Yeah, you can.
But are they required, Rashonda?
No,
I think that's a common one. Great.
no, they're not required to.
Can this person asks, I hope I asked this right. Will you confirm relocation is an eligible and high priority use? The RFP mentions it on the first page, but I didn't hear it mentioned in the session. And then, Rashawn, if you could help define relocation. It's an interesting word.
Yeah, so relocation is an eligible activity for HUD funds. It is not a high priority that was identified this year. Our high priorities are youth, youth economic development, and tornado recovery and housing. But yes, relocation is an eligible activity under our acquisition and demolition component. So it's still listed as a priority, but just not a high priority.
Great. And going down the list, this is a good question too. What is the total funding available in this RFP? For example, they asked 19% of public services. Well, 19% of what? Do we know the total funding that will be available, Rashonda?
Well, no, and we hope it is available because CDBG is called an entitlement program. Entitlement means you may not be awarded the funds. So if Congress and the Senate, if they don't come to terms on slashing or not slashing HUD and CDBG funding, we may not have it. And in our contracts that we have administered historically, there's a caveat that speaks to the availability of funding. We hope, right, that the CDBG program is not wiped out of this new bill, but it could be. And then it's gone, and we aren't, this time would have been not, well, this is great time together. So the other part of your question is, what is it? We don't know it. We can talk traditionally. Last year, for example, our allocation was a little over 17 million. It's likely to be that or less for the coming year, but we don't have the allocation and we don't know what to share with you. We can just tell you historically, last year was 17, before then it was like 18 so it will be 19% of whatever it is. And I see Kevin coming on because he is our aficionado on all things related to Congress and following the bills for us.
Yeah, so just to follow up on what Rashonda is saying is that in a nutshell, we don't have the final numbers for what the actual appropriation is yet from Congress. That is still being negotiated. It is due to go to what's called conference committee because the House of Representatives passed one version and the Senate passed a different version of all the appropriations. So they have to get together and come up with a final bill that then will have to then pass houses. So we don't have the exact numbers on that yet. That's the short version.
Great. Thank you, Kevin. Um,
It's just so these times you really get to see how we are affected on a national level and connected, affected and connected. So, and thank you for asking that question.
Great. This is kind of related. The next question is there a limit to how much can be requested? So if someone is applying, what maybe what's reasonable, how much should they ask for? Or is there an actual limit?
No, there's not a limit that I've ever read in guidance. I would be wise in requests based on what your program does. What are you currently providing to the community? What who are you serving? What is your annual budget? Um, and use that as a marker for how much you would apply for in this cycle, and what percentage of your annual budget you would allocate to reporting to CDA for CDBG. Yeah.
Great. We are making progress with these questions. So thank you, Mark, for your compliment. With Salesforce, we're trying to move into the future here. We appreciate that. We're making our way down the list. Will there be technical assistance for issues that may arise when completing the online application? The answer is yes. On that main website, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom where it says portal help, email that CDA grants at stlewis-mo.gov. We really just want those in writing and do it quickly. Um, uh, we want to keep it fair and competitive. So take advantage of that. This is an interesting question. To be eligible for CDBG funds, does it matter if you're an LLC or a nonprofit? And I assume it depends on what you're applying for.
That's correct. Nonprofits are eligible, and LLCs for profit are eligible. For this particular RFP, your LLC would be eligible for the commercial facade improvement program. And nonprofits across all categories.
Great. We have an observation that we'll share, and that's we like to have a discussion. This person says it appears historically that CDBG and other funding is awarded to the same orgs over and over again. This person saying not that they're deserving, but there's a lot of small agencies that are doing great work and need funding. And Rashonda, I think we agree. And we're glad new folks are here. There's 77 people in this room. So please apply, attend the training, sign up for the e-newsletter. We really want to make CDA be on the map with these federal funds, and there are so many great orgs. So CDA believes that we can also help organizations. Go to sam.gov now, get registered, and we can really help bring the ecosystem of St. Louis providers, service providers, helpers, neighborhood groups, learn how to work with federal funds and use these resources.
Tom, can I chime in?
Yes.
And hopefully Kevin is still here. I think he may know historically. We received almost 30 million or so historically with CDA for CDBG is what I've heard in the past. And now this is the past, like 7, 8, 10 years ago past. So we want to fund more organizations. And because you feel this way, contact your congressman. contact your senators and tell them St. Louis used to receive around 30 million. Now you have them at 16 million, and we have more demand, and we need this support so that they could give us more money to fund nonprofits doing great work in the city. The pot is getting smaller. So this is where you call Congress, you call your senators so they can appropriate more money for the city to give to great organizations like yours. Kevin, I saw you come off.
Yeah, I was just jumping in to sort of just nod my head and say, yeah, typically about that much. Yeah.
Okay, that
Thanks,
was all I
team.
wanted to add.
Linda asks, in regard to the performa, do we assist with training on the pro forma for rehab and new construction? If not, can you ask, is there an organization company willing to assist? So August 15th, we're having a training. And then, as I mentioned, if you go to that main webpage, scroll all the way down, there's a little news section. You can see a list of folks who have been awarded in the past. So we are limited because of fairness on how we can assist, but we encourage this community to work together and reach out to each other to, work through a demanding application process. Is there
This
anything
is
you want to add, Rashonda?
Yeah, it's just to make sure this is the non-housing CDBG funding cycle. And you very well could be talking about rehab and new construction of a public facility, right? But just wanted to throw that out there.
This question is having us get back into our discussion again, but I think the public really deserves to know and is curious about um, our federal environment. So they ask, does CDA have this HUD funding already in-house here? And has it been distributed from the federal government? Or because there's a reimbursement, is there a vulnerability that if you get an award and you make expenditures, is there a concern about delays in reimbursement? And I believe we've made a statement about this in March in one of our newsletters, Rashonda, about how the city is approaching this. Very relevant question.
Did you want to talk more about the statement from the city, or you just want me to answer
I think you're the
directly?
pro.
Okay.
Rashonda.
So directly, no, we don't have 26 funds yet because we're in 25. I'm a straight shooter. That's the answer.
Okay. Do we want to say anything more about that? That
Kevin, were you going to jump
is
in?
there a concern?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's not. I think it's important to note that it's not unusual that we're holding this RFP in advance of when the appropriation is done. It's typically how it happens. And as far as the statement that is in the RFP about the awards are estimated and there are reservations and they could change depending upon that appropriation. I mean, that's been standard operating procedure prior to current administration. So I mean, it is important to note that it's not unusual or a new thing.
Great note.
Kevin.
And it is traditional this time every year prior to other administrations. Thank you for that note, Kevin.
Okay, we are making progress. This is a good question. Should there be a stated tenet of public service that public service only serves low to moderate income individuals? Does that mean when you serve these clients, you have to ask them what their income is?
Yes.
Okay, now Christine asks, is the commercial facade grant program the same as the community development block grant program? as that's where the link here leads to. The commercial facade improvement program is designed to enhance visual appeal. So I think the question is this the same? It's all in the same RFP, even though it's a little different than other CDBG programs. Is that accurate, Rashonda?
Yeah, that's correct. So the commercial facade has its own application, but it is still funded through this cycle.
Great. And then elaborating on the commercial facade program, which is a really great program for small businesses in our streetscapes. Christine asked a good clarifying question. Is it limited to the front facade that you can see, or can it touch roofs and other parts of that building?
So it is limited to the front facade for now. But it and because it's a pilot. So we have front facade, ADA accessibility. The guidelines are specific, especially for this funding activity with HUD.
Great. Okay, we're making great progress. Estella, you have your hand raised and you have a question here. Are there new reporting requirements this time? Let's just bring you in if you're still there, Estella. You've been very patient. Are you there? Hey, Stella, we've brought you on live. Go ahead and unmute. But Rashonda, are there any particular new types of reporting for this new cycle of 2026 CDBG?
It's a pretty routine reporting requirements. If you have been previously funded, you can expect a similar reporting requirements for this funding cycle through for 26.
Great. And now Amanda asks, do hub zone businesses receive priority at all? I had to Google hub zone, and it's an SBA program for small businesses and historically underutilized business zones. I'm not familiar with this. Are you, Rashonda?
We did not designate, yes, but there's no designation in our RFP to give priority to hub zone businesses.
Great. And we are at our last question. This is already part of the discussion we've had, but I think it's on a lot of people's minds. So CDBG will work on a reimbursement basis in a dynamic federal environment. Is there concern about awardees spending money and then not being reimbursed? And how do we want to discuss this again?
I don't know if we can add to the discussion any further. I would not foresee reimbursements not occurring for those nonprofits who are contracted with the city. You know, that's what I would have to communicate there. And that there are other private entities that I would suggest nonprofits look to as well and to diversify funding sources. As we embark upon unfamiliar territory, private donors are have less strings, right? And just consider diversifying your portfolio of funding. No stress. We're going to be just fine. We're going to push through this and keep doing great work in the city. It's just a time such as this.
Great. And Christine would like to share, there's a great need for at least 15 small food pantries in the tornado impacted area to make repairs, yet they are too small to apply for individual funding. If CDBG is not applicable, or another organization cannot apply for their behalf, are there other resources for funds like this? I think, Rashonda, what you said before is we need, I'll have you say it again, if you will.
Our private and philanthropic neighbors and businesses and entities have less restrictive funding available for these types of small food pantries. So I would consider reaching out to some private funders for this circumstance.
Great. And then I'll just share too, if you're referring to existing organizations or groups, with structures in the zone, I think everyone should be familiar with the city's website and then /tornado. And that's where the city has really compiled all the official information. So, the most recent updates from FEMA, Small Business Administration, et cetera. Take advantage of that resource. It's the city's website, stlewis-mo.gov/tornado. And that's the official information is right there. I know there's a lot of information out there, but stick with the official information from the city on that webpage. We have made great progress. There's a question, is there a direct link to the pro forma on that main webpage for the 2026 CDBG? You scroll all the way down and it says 2026 CDBG funding request for proposals, documents and forms. Click that link and all the forms you'll need, all those documents are going to be in one place right there. So you go to the website and scroll down where it says documents and forms, and you'll find a link to that Excel. We have 2 hands raised in the chat. Estella, we're going to see, do you want to come back on? Were you able to?
While
You're
we
gonna-
are waiting on Estella, I just wanted to
raised.
bring back up
Yes.
FEMA. FEMA.
Yes.
For the small pantries, maybe they could consult there and see what resources are available through FEMA.gov. We have a disaster declaration, and there could be some other partners through FEMA that can help.
Excellent. Thank you. Hey, Stella, I'm not sure. I'm gonna bring you on. Renata, do you want to come on again? Do you have another question? Had your hand raised? Nope. Okay. There's one last question in the chat, and it's will there be a recording of this meeting? It is live streaming on YouTube right now. And if you go to that main webpage in the chat, there's a link to it right now. And the slide deck that we just shared. So if you want to review this again, if you want to watch it this afternoon again, you can go to that main website and check it out. Okay, Estella, I see your question here. Are there any new reporting requirements, Rashonda, for this cycle?
Yeah, so Estella, if you have an organization that has received previous CDBG awards, their reporting requirements are similar. If there are any changes, they will be outlined in our contracts. But for now, you could count on previous reporting requirements. We do have some changes with new executive orders that we've had to incorporate into our future contracts going forward. But as far as reporting, any changes would be in the contract, but none that I could highlight today as a new requirement.
Great. We have come a long way from 30 plus questions in our Q&A down to 0. I still see Renata, your hand is raised. Do you have a question? Otherwise, it's 12:30 and everyone might want to go to lunch. Renata, are you still there? Okay. Rashonda, thank you so much. I think we'll count to 10 and see if there's any more questions.
One from Deborah Edwards. If you have a
Okay.
daycare business in the city, you can apply for the facade program if you are for a profit business. If you are a nonprofit daycare, you can apply for a plethora of eligible activities.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We just made it an hour and a half, and I think there are about 80 people. No, we're up to 100 in the room, so we so appreciate everyone interested in applying and everything you do for the city of St. Louis, for our residents, for the region, and especially right now as we work through um, probably the largest challenge we've ever faced. So thank you everyone for attending and for being a part of this community. Check out that website, city's website /CDA. You'll find a link to that 2026 CDBG main page, or I'm not going to read it out. It's already posted there, stlous.mo.gov/CDA/2026.CFM, and all the information is posted there and will be updated as we have new things to share. So, Rashonda, any final observations, conclusions, thanks, appreciations?
Everything that you said, I echo. We thank you so much. I did look into the guidance, 24570.201 for the 18C matrix code while we were meeting. And we do have an option if that for-profit is providing technical assistance for small businesses. So if you do decide to apply for that specific matrix code, let's highlight that and we can go from there. Appreciate your knowledge and time today. And we look forward to some wonderful applications.
Great. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Trenton. Thank you, STL TV, for always facilitating these virtual meetings, all the hard work you do for keeping this city running publicly in public view. So thank you so much, STL TV.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.